Good afternoon. It's Super Bowl Sunday. Welcome to another episode of Sweet 915. I'm host Curtis Smith. This is a special episode, everyone. Early voting starts tomorrow, February 14th. And as always, if you have any questions or you would like to be on the show, just email us at therealsweet915@gmail.com. But before we talk about our special guest today, we're going to allow Paul Magic to come on from Musical Jams and Jokes and talk about what's coming up.
Yes, thank you. Thank you guys again, Sweet 915 and all the listeners here at Sweet 915. Okay, guys, we always complain that there's nothing to do in El Paso. Okay, we have some special events coming up. We got the celebrating the month of the ladies comedy show. Okay, that's on 5 March at 4201 Skyline Avenue with one of the hottest female DJs here in El Paso, Lady DeBar. Okay, so come on out. We're gonna give away some tickets to this show. Kurt is gonna put some questions up, and we're gonna give away 2 more tickets to this show. And then we also have for all the jazz lovers in El Paso, and there's a lot of jazz lovers in El Paso. Everybody says there's not been any jazz. So now we got the first annual Show Up and Show Out Music Jazz Fest. Okay, show up and show out. That means that these jazz musicians and groups will be coming to El Paso to come here and show up, and they will show out. For the first time, we got a high school jazz band on the lineup partying with the big boys on the stage. We got Franklin High School performing jazz band. They're the first high school band that's going to perform with the big boys. We got Asuka. Asuka is one of the hottest Latin jazz bands here in El Paso. Very, very big following Asuka. And then we have Jeffrey Smith, been to El Paso a couple of times. He's coming back. He's from Dallas, San Antonio. Okay. And then we got the great Ricky Malachi that toured all over the world, playing with all bands, featuring the A-list. Then closing the show is the hot, sexy jazz singer playing that sexy jazz sax is Mike Hamilton. Everybody love Mike Hamilton. He can really get down. So guys, we're gonna get tickets away from this show. We're gonna give 4 tickets away to the jazz show. 4 tickets. So once Curtis come in and give you the questions or how they want to give them away, they'll get back with me. Do not miss the show. You're always saying there's nothing to do. So please come out and support all the shows and events going on. And this is in the Northeast. We're bringing some positive to the Northeast, guys. Positive to the Northeast. So come on out and enjoy 2 nights of fun.
Thank you, Paul. Thank you, Paul. Y'all heard it from Paul Magic. He's giving out some tickets, you know what I'm saying? So he's trying to encourage everybody to come on out and support. But before we begin with our special show, because I won't be before you long here today, because you know it's Super Bowl Sunday and everybody got to watch the game and get their chicken wings and beer and spirits going on and representing your team that you want to win. But we have a little voting trivia and a few giveaways before introducing to you one of the candidates running for office here in El Paso. But we're gonna put the questions up, and then we're gonna allow you to answer the question, and we're gonna continue with the show. And at the end of the show, we're going to announce the winners for the tickets for the comedy show and the jazz show. All right, here's your first question right here. What is the 19th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution? What is the 19th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution? Black men were given voting rights in what year? Black men were given voting rights in what year? So to answer, you can answer via messenger at Sweet 915 or in the comment section. And then at that time, we'll at the end of the show, like I said, at the end of the show, we'll tell you who the winner is. First question, And the second question, there it is. First question is, what is the 19th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution? And the second question is, Black men were given voting rights in what year? Okay, so we look forward to hearing from you. And as you watch the show, you can put your answers in in the chat. So the first person that answers, she'll let you know who the winner is. Okay. So first thing we want to say is Suite 915 does not endorse political candidates or anything. This is a show for everybody. If you would like to be on the show, please email us at therealsuite915@gmail, and we invite you to come on. And this particular candidate emailed us to say, hey, I want to come on and talk about voting and give them my platform and give them my spill on what's going on now. And we have a series of questions that came from the viewers that we're going to answer today. So without further ado, we introduce you to Miss Dorothy Sissy Byrd, candidate for El Paso County Commissioner Precinct 4. Welcome to the show, Miss Byrd.
Well, hello. How are you doing?
We're good. We're good. It's Super Bowl Sunday. You know what it is. So
yes, I do.
Yeah. So welcome to the show. Welcome to Suite 915. We did a special show for you today since you emailed us and said, hey, we made it happen for you. So as you know, we have a series of questions that we want to ask you that came from the viewers that knew you were coming on. So we'll just get started by letting you tell us about a little bit about you and who you are and your political background.
Okay, well, I was born and raised in East Orange, New Jersey, and I came here about 41 years ago with the military. I was a military spouse with my 2 children. After coming here, we had to relocate, go back to Germany, and then come back. I am currently very much involved in our community. That's why I'm running. I also, my 2 children graduated from Andrews High School. And my grandsons, they went to school here until they relocated. One grandson is by my daughter, and the other one, with learning a few things with moving around with the military, you acquire children. And I acquired a grandson long time ago. So that's how come I say I have 2 grandsons.
Okay.
I belong to many organizations here and have been on or still is on different boards.
Okay, that's it.
Yes.
Okay.
So we have a lot more to talk about.
Okay. Well, let's get to it. So the first question that we have that is proposed, the position you're campaigning for is County Commissioner of Precinct 4.
Yes.
What exactly is the responsibility of a county commissioner and a commissioner's court as a whole?
Okay. Well, the county commissioner's court as a whole is governed by the state of Texas. And also there are 4 county commissioners on the court and 1 judge. Each one does have a voting right. So therefore they discuss topics like and vote on taxes. They can, ask to raise them or lower them. Well, not lower them, leave them the same. They are over the county hospital and the county clinics. And those who don't know, the county hospital is UMC and the Children's Hospital. Also, they are over the jails. They are over the county clerk, which, the county clerk is over the deeds and different things like that you go to the county courthouse to file marriage license, different things like that. They're over the fee for the jurors when you have to do jury duty. They are over the codes here in El Paso, and they are over, and they have to work with a balanced budget. That makes them different than city council because city council works without a balanced budget, but county commissioners court have to work with a balanced budget. And, they have to enforce all the rules and regulations that have to do with redistricting and voting.
Okay. Redistrict.
Those are just some of the topics.
Okay. So the first question that you said a little bit about your political background and some of the things that you are a part of. Um, so, what makes you qualified for this particular position as county commissioner? If I mean you're running, so they want to know what makes you qualified for this particular position, because some people, their resume speaks for themselves. So I guess they're just asking, what makes you qualify as for to run for the position, for the particular
And
position.
the requirements for running as a county commissioner are very limited. You have to live in your area for a
Mm,
certain amount of time, from 6 months to a year,
okay,
and you have to be a registered voter. So I
that's
have been
it.
here. That's it.
That's
A lot
it.
of people don't understand that there are a lot of elected positions that don't require special schooling
Mhm.
and different things like that. But I think the main thing that is a requirement, an unwritten requirement, is to be involved in your community. If you are vetted in this community, that should be a requirement because you care about this community. The other day, I was asked a question. What is, because I went to the Veterans at Breakfast meeting, and I was asked, are you committed or do you do your obligation? That question says it all. Because, and I had to answer it right away, which I did, because I didn't think I had much thought to give to that question with my answer. My
Mhm.
answer was an obligation. I could be obligated by the many organizations I belong to be active in our community, to be volunteering, to work at a food bank. But the difference with committed is you have that you are committed in your heart. You will go and do in your community just because you want to and don't have to have a title or organizations attached to you, which I do. I have gone to the food banks with and without organizations. I've gone to feed the homeless with and without organizations. I am very much involved in the American Legion and other organizations that do stuff for our community. Even with the Lions Club, we collect glasses. We make sure that we address the issues of the blind. So therefore, my commitment, which makes me eligible, is because I believe in our community. I believe that of working hard for our community, for the betterment of our residents on the Northeast, the West Side, the East Side, all of us. Because let's face it, we are in El Paso together.
Mhm. So since you said that, Precinct 4 covers what areas in El Paso? Because you said the
Precinct
Northeast.
4 covers the Northeast, a part of the Northeast, and a part of the
Mhm.
West Side. Each
Okay.
county commissioner has a designated area for them.
Okay. Okay. Good stuff. So overall, what is your platform? What is Ms. Byrd's platform, and what do you hope to accomplish in this position if elected?
Well, the first thing I want to accomplish to make sure I'll be at the meetings. And to me, if you're not at a meeting, then our representative just gave our choices to an empty chair or a blank screen or not a phone call. And let me explain what I mean by that. In order to represent our community, we have to have a commissioner that will be there. I can promise you that I will be there. When I am involved in any organizations, the commissioner's court will be no different. I will be there when I'm supposed to. I will be visual so you could see me, and I will engage in the conversation, because sometimes you could see um, someone at a meeting and they're not engaged in the conversation of the day. One thing about commissioner's court, you do receive the backup of everything that is on the agenda. So therefore, when you are in the meeting, you have knowledge of every single topic that is going to be on that meeting. With myself being ready to work on it, boards that I belong to, I will resign. And the reason is I think Commissioner's Court needs a commissioner that will be there for full time. And also, because I am so involved in the community, I do know a lot about the organizations and what kind of help they do give our community. I want to work with also the unions. because we have many unions here in El Paso, and we need to make sure we address the pay, because let's face it, even some of our healthcare workers are working for $11 and some cent an hour. I want to make sure we address the light situation in our areas. And what I mean by that is I know for a fact on Sean Haggerty, most of the lights, I don't know if they turned out, burnt out, but we need to make sure that we get them on, because it is not safe for our residents to drive down, say, Sean Haggerty or Railroad without the lights lit. My platform will be to make sure we address those issues. I think we need to address the parks and recreational areas for our children. Too many times when the children are out there practicing for football, they have no lights. It's like a little lit part where they are at. That is not safety for our children. And also, I think we need to also address as far as let me stay at the kids for a minute first.
Okay.
You know, when the kids practice in our parks, they have no restrooms. Some of the families have to bring the older ones with them because they don't have anyone to care for them or the younger children. So therefore, if they have to go to a restroom, there is none. That issue needs to be addressed. Also, the speed bumps at some that are near some of these parts, they need to be in place. We need to figure out how to get some funding for this. Also, for the disabled community. Do you know I was talking to a young man with his dad, and he was going down the sidewalk, got stuck on the sidewalk. And the reason was because there are so many houses where the sidewalks are unlevel. We need to address the issues of the disabled, and also we need to address the issues of disabled to make sure they are included in whatever decisions or policies that we make. For instance, when it was set up for the to get the vaccine, it was not hearing impaired. It did not address the disabled community. We need to address those issues. I will be the one to address it. Also, these businesses where they are not ADA compliant, we need to address these businesses. We need to make them understand that they are losing out on income because their property, or to go into their stores or restaurants or bars or whatever, it is not accessible for this community to grow. That is growing can go in there. And because of our senior and our disabled community growing, we need to address issues that involve them. All new houses should be able to address how many seniors can move in there, and also how many people with disabilities can move in there. We understand that there are guidelines that can that are addressing how many for each one, but we need to make sure we have also enough housing for them, because like I said, this population is growing. We need to address the issues of environment. And if elected, I would like to work with Commissioner's Court, with Commissioner Stout, if he is elected, because he really cares about our environment. I do believe that if there is a way to hire someone who will address our environmental issues here, I would like to work on that. Also, because of myself being an advocate in our community on women's rights, voting rights, the veterans' rights, disabled, seniors, I am an advocate for all those things. And I think all the time we need to make sure these issues are addressed for whatever policies we make or whatever rules we set to to make sure they get followed through. So therefore, my platform is to take care of our community, because no matter what, we will live here. We have to make sure we are safe. And just like I truly believe that with the sheriff's department, as far as the jail is concerned, I think the new policies that they are trying to enforce is good, because they are keeping the more violent people in the jails longer, and the ones that are having really minor offenses to be released. That way, we are keeping our community safer by keeping the most violent ones still in jail. And as far as the um, the food banks are concerned, I think we should make sure we keep providing funding for the food banks. I myself have worked in the food banks, and I truly understand it is really tough times for everyone during this pandemic. So therefore, we need to make sure we get funding for that. I have volunteered with feeding the homeless with some organizations, and I have volunteered as myself when there was help needed. We need to address the issues of the homeless. We need to start having meetings back with the Homeless Coalition to make sure we iron out all the differences between Commissioner's Court and the Homeless Coalition. These are the topics of the day that we need to make sure we keep in the limelight every day, because all of these things affect our community.
Okay. Okay. We said a whole lot.
Well, there's a whole
But
lot
hey,
going on in El Paso.
yeah, it's your time. It's your time. So I have the next question I have comes from a viewer. It's a two-part question. So the first part of this question is, what do you see as the three most pertinent issues facing El Paso County? That's the first question. So
well, the first one I think is the taxes. We need to make sure we address the taxes. And sooner or later, let's be honest, we know the taxes will go up. But it is Commissioner's Court to make sure if it goes up, that it doesn't go up much. And the reason why I say taxes, because let's face it, appraisal values have gone up on some people's house. And this is a shame to me that they have to, every time that their houses are appraised, they have to go to court. So that's how come, to me, taxes is first. Health is very much important because everyone knows how much we are dealing with the virus. And look, now we're on another virus coming out. We don't know when this will end. So therefore, we have to make sure to keep yourself safe, each other safe, your family members safe. Get the vaccine. If you don't do it for yourself, get it for someone else. We need to protect each other. So those are the first two. And the last one that I believe is health and our environment. We need to make sure that we protect our environment, because with the flooding that, say, for instance, I'll give you an example, the flooding that is on the west side. Can you imagine being 90 years old, living in your house that you have lived in for many years, and every time there is a hard rain, your house is flooded? Let's face it, a lot of that area that is being flooded on the west side is because of flooding. We need to figure out who owns part of the road down there, how we can get some funding. Do you know that in November of last year, there was $1.2 trillion that was approved? Now, all the guidelines have not been set under each one of the categories, but hopefully El Paso, because let's face it, the county staff, to me, they are on the ball. And I'm going to tell you why I say that, because whenever there's a meeting and they have to address an issue, they know, or the next person next to them know what answer to give you. And believe me, it's not something they made up. So therefore, we need to address those three issues to be the top, because no matter what, safety is always involved in any, if you say the top 10, top 20, we have to make sure that our residents are safe and taken care of. And that's what my top three answers would be, even though I gave you four.
Okay, well, somebody disagreed with you with number one. They said the economy should be the first, but I'm gonna let y'all handle that at another time. We're gonna move to the second part. So you named those three. You named your top three. So if you're elected, how do you propose to address those issues?
Well, first of all, with as far as to address the issues, we may need to always reevaluate our budget and our plan that is for 2022. We need to make sure that when we address these issues, that we are addressing them for all the communities within our community. And why I say all the communities, I'm talking about the seniors, the disabled, those people also should be involved in these. To be able to have funding come here, infrastructure, and a lot of people think that infrastructure is only to do with the roads. It is not. It has to do with jobs. It has to do with the hospital. All those come under infrastructure bills. Plus, we have to make sure we keep addressing the grants. There are grants that different departments actually can receive. Example, under the sheriff department, they have grants that affect the juveniles. What those fundings that could come in and be used for those things. There are also federal and state grants that can be worked on to provide funding for us. So every time that we address issues of different things like that, the health department and everything, we have to make sure and help the county commissioners, the county employees, and the judge to make sure that all these issues are addressed, but we see where we can get funded from. Because the more we work on funding from other areas, then that means that our taxes will not go up. As far as the health department is concerned, we have to make sure we keep our clinics open so that those who want to be tested or want to get the vaccination, we have to make sure that these issues are addressed. And the reason why that is one of them, because when the new virus came out, some people had to wait line 3 to 4 hours just to get testing. They had to wait in lines just to find out there's no more vaccines available. So now we are fortunate because all of these locations have the vaccines. We just need to keep them open, and we need to have also that these the hours of operation will be able to suit the purpose for all that are concerned in our communities. And also, as far as the like I said, the environment, we need to address these environmental issues because it is affecting all of us.
Okay.
So
So
therefore, if elected, I want to make sure that within the first 100 days, I would like to have meetings with the people from the senior population, the disabled population, meet with some of the unions. Only way you can find out how to address some of these issues is you have to have a meeting with those that it affects the most. Because if I was to go down the street and I didn't notice that the visually impaired street light wasn't working, I wouldn't automatically notice that. But another person who will use that because they are visually impaired will know that that wasn't working properly. That's how come we have to have community meetings with to address all the issues that have to do with all of us.
okay, so I hear what you're saying. So here's my question. You said that you to address the issues, you would have meetings with all of these various groups that you just mentioned. So what is your plan of action when you meet, when if you say we have a meeting and I come to the meeting and you say, well, what is it that you need from me? Well, we already know what the issues are. You know what the issues are. You just mentioned the issues. So what is the plan of action that if Dorothy Byrd is elected county commissioner, what will you tell me? This is my plan of action for the things that I know needs to be fixed. Now tell me, what else do you think I need that needs to be fixed within the county or whatever the case may be?
Well, just like I was addressing about the infrastructure
Mm-hmm.
funding that's available, I will be willing to work with the county employees to address these issues. That is the only way we can support some of the funding that we need. Without funding, there is nothing that we can address. We cannot, with the concerns of our community, we need to, that's how come we need to know what we need to address first. When we write a list, we will prioritize what needs to be done first. But the thing about it is we need funding. In order for our citizens to not have to pay higher taxes, we need to address what areas and where this funding can come for. So therefore, that's how come I said I would have a meeting with them because, you know, when you're in that position, you learn a lot more of how some of it works and some of it doesn't work. For instance, I am on a Camille Real Mobility Board. and it deals with issues that have to do with everything mobility. We together as a board address all those issues. We talked about funding, how much is needed, and then when we have meetings with the like the construction companies and different things like that, we're talking about millions of dollars that we have to, as a board, address. It's the same thing as far as with Commissioners Court. We'll find out about where these fundings can come from for the grants and everything, so we can address what funding could go to what as a priority. And that's how come I said, if the community is not involved, then we don't know what their concerns and issue is. By being a commissioner, you have the ability to address all these issues on a different level than I will be able to address as just a citizen.
Okay. So I have a question that came through. They ask how programs are cut to meet the agenda. Do you think that you would have to do that if for some of the things that you mentioned that needs to be fixed, like the street lights, other programs for the hearing impaired, the elderly, and things like that? Do you think other programs will be cut? They'll say, well, we can do that if we cut these programs and get the funding from this program. Are you in favor of that, or you'll just say no? We there's other ways, and you're gonna lay out the other ways.
Well, point blank, I would not say no. And the reason why I don't say completely no is because you
Right.
have to adjust all of it. And
Okay.
what I mean by that is, when there is funding available, it may be able to go in this program,
Okay.
even though it was requested for a different program. And therefore, funding from a different area may be able to go into that funding. So
Okay.
therefore, by just saying, no, I don't agree with it, there is a lot more to that answer than that. Because if I just say no, then, when you say no, that's the end of it. We don't want it to be the end of it. We have to be able to be addressing the issues that are more important.
Mhm.
And sometimes county commissioners has had funding for one thing and completely moved it for something else. So therefore, I'm not saying that is right, but I'm not going to say it's wrong either, because with the different grants and, like I said, the infrastructure bills and from the state and the federal, we have to see, okay, we may cut 10,000 in this program, but if we cut that 10,000 in this program, we may be able to put that 10,000 in this other one, but we may be able to apply for a grant that we don't have to pay back to put into the original one and even make it better. So therefore, as far as with our economy and everything, with so many businesses going out of business, with so many families hurting because people not working, different things, money funding will have to go into different areas. And, all I can say is that we should always work for the best for our community, no matter what.
Okay, thank you. I'm glad you answered that. So the next question is: El Paso is in position for growth. What is your plan for economic growth in El Paso if you're elected?
Well, first of all, we need to address the small businesses because so many have closed. So therefore, we also need to make sure we find the funding. And the reason why I say we find the funding, especially, let's talk about the expressway that's going to be on Railroad, which is going to combine Texas and New Mexico. New Mexico has their funding for that road. With building up roads, then you have more people that are at work. That program has been working to be accomplished for over 10 years now. They finally got into a stage of it where there is funding. So therefore, the state of Texas needs to find that other funding so this can be completed. If that road, just that one, is completed, can you imagine how much the trucking industry can come through here and bring goods for our stores, for our communities, and for other communities? That would be one thing where we need to make sure we work on getting funded for. Just like I'm against the widening of I-10, but that's my personal opinion. That opinion could change if the community says, well, you know what? I was against it, but maybe I changed my mind and I believe in widening I-10. No matter what, who the commissioner is, they are supposed to vote on issues that have to do with our community, not as a personal um, decision. So therefore, when we bring, even like the unions that are working here, you know, they fight with their employees to get the employee, they fight with the employer to get the employees more pay. We have to make sure we understand their focus, because their focus is for the betterment of the employees. Even though we are sitting here for growth, El Paso is a growing city, and in the county is also growing. We have new housing that is coming here. So therefore, with housing, you get the builders, you get the electricians, you get all this. So these jobs will actually be growing. And as far as attracting other businesses, look, we have attracted some, but we need to attract more as a city. So, you know, as far as the county is concerned, of course, the county would want to work with the city as much as we can to bring businesses here. So, therefore, when anything grows here in El Paso, it will make it better for El Paso City and County as a whole. So if we bring widening the I-10, if that happens, or if we finish the expressway that's going to go railroad, that will bring jobs here. We need to make sure that we keep our people in El Paso with a decent pay so they will stay here and work here. Because let's face it, a lot of our children leave El Paso because of pay. So we have to make sure we always are working toward the growth of El Paso by getting some of that funding from all those different areas.
Okay. So before I move on to the next question, we got another question from one of our viewers. Their question is about you. You brought up employment. Okay, a lot of what if elected, a lot of military spouses and youth in El Paso are not hired because they're not bilingual. Most of the jobs require that you be bilingual. What change would you make to that if elected to county commissioner?
Well, first of all, I fully understand. When I came here, I came as a military spouse, and every door that could have been open or should have been open should have been open. But you would hear a lot of times, oh, you don't speak Spanish. Um, oh, well, you're probably only going to be here temporarily. Oh, well, once you get this education, talking about the youth, oh, well, they'll move away. Well, you know what? That is so true on all areas. But let's face it, you can be employed and don't have to even speak to a person that speaks Spanish. I don't believe most of the businesses here are with one employee. And what I mean by that, if you hire an employee that does not speak Spanish, then you also have an employee that probably does. So therefore, if we need to address this issue, because for too many times the military has been put down here in El Paso. Most people don't understand the economy does better with Fort Bliss being here, and they need to address that completely. Like I said, I understand firsthand because I came here as a military spouse, left, came back as a military spouse. I'm not a military spouse now, but still, I understand those issues firsthand. Even with, I'm going to tell you a little thing that happened on the board that I'm on, the Camille Real board. We were talking about, they have the bikes downtown, sorry. And I told them, I said, you know, how come the military is not involved in knowing about the bikes? People now are trying to be healthy. And because of the pandemic, when you can get outside and then just enjoy the weather, you want to go. So I told him, I said, we need to piggyback, go to Fort Bliss, talk to Fort Bliss. Let the people on Fort Bliss know. Let the ones that live off of Fort Bliss know about the different programs here in downtown El Paso that have to do with the city or with the county. But those for I don't know how long have not been addressed. And sooner or later, they need to understand without Fort Bliss, where will we be? We get a lot of funding because of the military here. And I think it's high time we address the military active duty. And look, we also need to address our veterans. Our veterans have fought for our country, and a lot have died for our country. A lot of them have health concerns. And, it's like we cannot forget about them just because they have retired. So I think the county and the city have done themselves an injustice so many times because that community is not addressed in every situation. That's how come when I say all communities need to be addressed together, that's why I say that, because we need to address all communities, and the military and the veterans is one of them too.
Okay. Well, I have a question from one of the viewers. His question is, what is your plan with a budget to ensure the houses pipes get fixed? Every time it snows or cold weather hits El Paso's, pipes burst. I live in a senior living independent facility and the pipes always bust. So his question is, what is your plan with a budget to ensure the houses pipes get fixed?
Well, I don't know what their process is as far as that is concerned. But I think that with the new housing and renovations that they are doing for housing, this issue needs to be addressed. I'm quite sure this resident, he is not only talking about his pipes. In order for him to be in a housing area, it's got to be more than one resident. We have to make sure that our residents are being safe. And with pipes busting every time it gets real cold, we need to address that issue. So therefore, I believe in that budget, it should make sure there is a emergency fund so that these things cannot happen. We need to be able to teach the residents from the employees on how to protect their house and their homes and themselves. Because if there is something simple that they could do as far as preventing the pipes to bust, we need to make sure they know. Some people will leave when it's going to be a real cold a night or a day or whatever, leave the water dripping. I know that's an old-fashioned thing, but let's face it, it works. So therefore, we need to learn how to teach them preventive measures that they can do. But as far as I think a funding should be put aside for emergency as far as pipes are concerned, because it's not like if a pipe busts, it can be addressed in 10 minutes. No, that's how come we have to make sure we teach them different ways to protect their homes so that when this does happen, they will be able to get someone out there right away. So I think there should be a line item on the budget to address this emergency situations.
Okay. We have another question from one of our viewers. As a business owner, it's ridiculous that we have to pay tangible property taxes every year for desks, chairs, computers, bookcases, etc., that we own outright. Is this a state issue or something the county can address to get rid of this antiquated issue?
Well, as far as this is concerned, the county does address raising the taxes or lowering the taxes, but you also have to understand this also comes under the state. So therefore, I don't know if we can actually change that policy, but it will still be something that we can address as far as with the other commissioners to make sure if there is a change that we will be able to find a change that can address this issue. But as far as me saying, oh, yes, I will go and make sure this is changed. Let's face it, that is not something that one commissioner can do.
Okay.
But it is something that a commissioner can address in a meeting. So therefore, and I'm talking about, commissioners court have monthly meetings, and sometimes more than one in a month. So therefore, these issues can be addressed, and for as a elected official, it should be brought to the attention, and they will be able to answer that or address it in one of those meetings.
Okay. Thank you so much. So we're going to transition to something else right quick. It's Black History Month. What message what message do you have for Black people about the importance of voting?
Well, as far as the importance of voting, our ancestors died because they wanted to vote. We can go back through history and know that here we are back with this again. And what I mean by that, the redistricting, those maps were written to sometimes deter us from wanting to go to vote. When you take away a person's rights, people don't understand. When you don't use your right to vote, it affects you, your family, your community, everyone. Because without exercising your right to vote, you have gave up everything. That's just like the redistricting maps that were drawn to make us not vote. My grandparents, even my parents, and myself can actually sit and tell you what we have gone through to vote. I think it's a shame by the state of Texas if I give an elderly person a drink of water that I could have a charge against me. That is just outright ridiculous. If a person is sitting in a line to vote and they are been there for 8 hours, now parts of the country this happens. Just because it hasn't happened in El Paso, that doesn't mean it doesn't happen. If they stand in line for 8 hours, they got small children and they want something to eat. You're going to tell a child, oh, no, you can't have nothing to eat. This person can't give you anything. So then you have to make a choice of, do I want to give this small child or this elderly person something to eat and something to drink because they're in this line? Or do I want to go ahead and get a charge against me? I think it's outright ridiculous that those are laws that are set in place. And here we are all these years later from our grandparents and great grandparents, and we're fighting for our rights to be able to vote. I think it's a shame because these laws are written against the Black community. They're written against the Hispanic community. They're written against a whole lot of communities, and I just don't think it's right. People need to realize how important it is for them to vote, not only for themselves. A lot of young people, I'm so glad that they're realizing, oh, well, wait a minute. If you say, I don't vote, that you're going to take away my grandparents' limited income. Well, that may be the next step. By not voting, you are truly giving away your rights. And therefore, we need to stand up for our rights. And it's a shame, like I said, that we are converting backwards in history 200 years where someone wants to take away your right to vote. Everyone needs to get out there, register to vote, and don't just register, go vote. It is important for all of us. Do you realize it will affect your schooling? The education that you want for yourself and your children, all of this comes with voting. And if you don't exercise your right to vote, you are giving it away for nothing.
Okay, I have another question from a viewer. But could you answer this like in 2 minutes?
Sure.
Sure. Okay, so they want to know, what are your thoughts on combining more city and county services?
Well, I'm gonna give you one example. Remember when the virus first came out during the first stages of the pandemic. Remember when the city was working their plan, the county was working theirs. Now, all of us seen a lot of problems with that one. And then when they start working together, it was for the benefit of our community. We need to work like that because with the city and the county, which is the mayor and the judge, start addressing the pandemic together, it was for a betterment of our community. Can you imagine other programs if we will work together for the betterment of El Paso City and El Paso County? We will be better off.
Okay. All right. So we come to the end here. So I'm just going to ask you, what else would you like for voters to know about you, and why should they? Wait a minute. What makes you the best? Lord. We already asked that question, but okay, I'll ask this question, and
1 minute.
I think they asked this question. We answered this question already, but I'm gonna let you go ahead and but keep it brief because I think
I'll make 2 sentences. I am the best candidate because I will be a full-time commissioner. The boards that I belong to, I will have to resign because we are working together, myself and the residents. We will be working together for the betterment of our community, and you need someone who will attend meetings, which I will. You need someone who is out in the public. And remember, I talked about commitment and obligation.
Okay.
Keep those factors in mind. So therefore, that is why I am committed to this community, and that's why I ran. And that's why I am running to be your next county commissioner for Precinct 4.
Oh, okay. We have another question. So Ms. Byrd, I'm gonna ask that you keep it brief if you could.
You know, sometimes you can't answer it brief.
I know that some of these things I think you already know. Just could just shoot it to them, without going through the history of it. Just say, hey, this is what.
No, that ain't the way it works.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So mentioning education and veterans within the El Paso City, county commerce is growing at a rapid pace. What is the multitude of organizations doing? What is the multitude of organizations doing to capture and retain talent in El Paso?
Well, we can make that one real short. The pay.
Okay.
Because if your pay can increase by you leaving here, most of them will leave here. We have so much talent within our community through that have been educated. We have so many veterans. We have so many, everyone else that will do great things in El Paso, but because of the pay, they are moving away. So therefore, we as a city and county is losing out because we can't retain them here. The only way we can retain them here is to have our environment, our jobs, everything to increase so that we can get them more pay, because regardless, most of them move away because they can have a higher cost of living and they can take care of their families without having 2 and 3 jobs.
Okay. So let me answer that question, if you don't mind. I'm going to tell you what you can do for me to maintain my talents here in El Paso. Pay me what I'm worth. Stop shucking and jiving with me. If my degree says I'm supposed to get $80,000 a year, pay me my $80,000 instead of paying this person $50,000 with a master's degree in business or transportation or logistics or whatever the case may be. Pay me what I owe. Pay me what you're supposed to pay me. And then I think if you do that, the city will grow. The talents will be retained in El Paso. And then you'll see more businesses coming here, more corporations will come down here, and your infrastructure will continue to grow if you pay people what they're worth. We're not paying people what they're worth, and we always have an excuse because somebody needs a job, so they're willing to pay less. So if you're going to pay me $50,000 and say this is all I can pay you, but you got this nice building sitting downtown and all this nice expensive furniture, but you can say, oh, I can only pay you $50,000 when I know my resume shows that I have the experience I have the degrees to back me up, or I've been working in other areas to tell you I can do this. Pay me my $80,000. Why are you going to pay somebody $50,000 and got to train them? That's the issue that needs to be addressed with taxes out here and pay. Stop paying people. Stop. We have to stop. I'm saying we have to stop accepting the mediocre pay. I mean, you're supposed to, just because I need a job and I can live off $50,000 in El Paso, but that's not what you're worth. So why take it? So that's what I say that can happen at the county commissioner's office and downtown at the city hall. Pay people what they're worth, and you will see it grow. But we don't want to take a chance. We don't want to leap out on faith and say, if I keep my talent here, instead of letting them go to San Antonio, Dallas, where else? Houston, Texas. You're leaving other parts, but then El Paso, we getting the little stuff, but we want the big stuff too.
And exactly. And I'm gonna tell you one thing that we need to do. When we, as a whole, I'm talking about the county and the city, attract businesses here, you have to make agreements with that business to say, okay, you're going to come to our city, but you want me to give you this tax break. You want me to give you this incentive. But what about the people that's going to be employed? I want them to make, let's say, $15 an hour. Can you guarantee me $15 an hour for those employees that you are going to have this business here? And I think a lot of times the incentives outweigh, in a sense, the money for the employees. Mm-hmm. Because if you only look at what the business is going to get, what about the employees? So I think when these plans and these businesses to attract them to our city, fine, we have different things that we can give them to offer from our environment here. We have hardworking people here. And just like you said, if they can make $80,000 and you only want to give them $50,000 here, of course they're going to move away. Mm-hmm. And then you're stuck with employees that you have to teach, just like you said. But when you stop to teach an employee, that means you're taking away from the good product or information or whatever kind of business you have. You're taking away from your business because you wanted to hire someone who has no education. Now, I'm not saying that you cannot hire someone with no education, no experience. They can have a trade. There is nothing wrong with that. Mm-hmm. But you still have to make sure you even out the playing ground for both. Mm-hmm. So therefore, if you want someone to do a better job, you're going to have to pay them the money that they are worth. If they come with a degree and everything else, and they know their value and their worth, they're going to want that pay. That's where you're going to have to negotiate with them on, okay, if we start off with you here, but you got to stick to it when you get to right here. And I'm talking about the employer. I'm not talking about the employee, because that's just like so many jobs, there's no room for advancement, but they could be. But what happens? Some employees, now I'm not saying them all, some employees will reduce the staff and make somebody else learn 3 jobs that you had 3 people doing, but now that job takes a little bit longer, or at times a lot longer to get done, because you didn't want to pay equal share to those employees for a job well done. So therefore, we will always have that in El Paso. And that's how come when the city council and county commissioners work together to bring new employees here, they're going to have to negotiate for those employees. They are the first line of defense for those employees to get a decent pay. So if you say, oh, well, you can bring your business here and you can pay them $9.50 an hour, you better believe that employee is going to pay them $9.50 an hour. And why? Because we didn't have the first negotiations to talk about giving them a fair pay.
Yeah. Okay. You have a question. Another question. Would you vote for a property tax increase for homeowners?
In one sentence, no. And let me tell you why. I am a homeowner too. Remember one thing, no matter how I would vote, if elected for property taxes, it's affecting me too. So there it's going to affect my friends that are became family members. It's going to affect all of us. So as far as I wouldn't want the taxes increased, but we may have to increase it sometime or another. But it's a difference on if you can get funding from someplace else, then our taxes won't increase. But as far as they have a lot of laws that have to do with the taxes. Now, remember, everyone, the county does not set the rate. The rate is set by the state of Texas. We can only, I'm talking about for homeowners because I'm talking about the appraisal district now. That tax is not set by a commissioner's court. So don't let anybody fool you about, oh, I'm going to get in there and I'm going to lower this. No, there's a tax rate that has nothing to do with the county commissioners changing. All we can do is worry about, when you get your tax bill as a homeowner, it has little entities on that tax bill. There's not one little area that grouped all your money together. You got the school, you got the hospital, you got all of that. Now, the difference is to make sure we understand how that tax thing is conducted. And like I said, I think it's a shame that so many people get their appraisals and they have to fight for them. And I truly feel for seniors. Yes, I'm in that category with you, but I got my sound mind and everything where I know where to go for help. But what about some of the seniors that don't have anyone to help them fight with the appraisal of their house? If they say your house is worth $100,000, this is just an example, people, and they want to, the appraisal district says your house is $100,000, but in reality, your house is only worth $50,000. Now, who is going to go fight for that senior between that difference of the cost? Some of them may not have anyone to fight for them. I think it's a shame. So therefore, we need to make sure when these appraisals are done, fight for the right price of your taxes on your house. Because even though this part of your tax didn't go up, the other part will.
Okay. So we're about to close out. We thank you again for coming on and answering the questions that the people have in the district and what's it, precinct 4. So what else would you like voters to know about you, and why should they vote for you?
Well,
I think you said it a few times.
Yes, but I can say it again.
Go ahead, say it again
for you, and I will be full time, and I will be just like my slogan says. I will be visual to engage. Visual means I will be there. Engage will be I will be part of that meeting. I will have my questions. I will have to get my answers for my community. That will be me. But I also want y'all to also understand some different things that have changed. That as far as, don't forget, early voting starts tomorrow. And it will be until the 25th. If you have been registered for 30 days before the election, then you can vote. Because remember, election day is on March the 1st. And most people don't understand, for this race for county commissioner, you are trying to win. Like for me, I am a Democrat, lifelong, and will always be. But I can represent in our district the Republicans, Liberals, Green Party, everybody. I will be able to represent all of you. But remember that if you sit in a mail-in ballot, make sure your mail-in ballot is back to the election office, not postage, not in the mailbox, not with the mailman. It has to be in the election department office by the 25th. Please remember that. To all the ones that did a mail-in ballot, it doesn't mean if you're a senior, military, whatever, get those ballots in so that your right to vote is being exercised. And remember, election day is March the 1st.
Well, thank you again.
And remember, this is the new rule. Wait a minute. This is a new rule I want y'all to fully understand. When you requested that mail-in ballot, hopefully you put the last 4 of your social security number or your driver's license number on it. When you mail in that ballot, there is a place where you have to put that information. If you don't put the information there, they will throw your vote out. So therefore, it's like you didn't vote at all. I was in a meeting about 2 weeks ago, and it was told to us 20% of you voters vote is not going to be counted because of that simple new rule. So please make sure when you send that stuff in, send it in a timely manner to get to that office. And remember, you have to cast your vote your own self. Please elect people who you feel will be there for you, and use your right when they are in commissioner's court to vote for you. Remember what I say. Don't leave that chair empty. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you for being on Suite 915, Miss Dorothy Sissy Byrd for County Commissioner Precinct 4. Go to epvote.com for more information.
Oh, one more thing.
What?
Just for everybody to know. You know, a couple of elections ago, we started with the election central polling places. Remember, you do not have to vote at your own precinct. You can vote at any precinct. If you at work and they got a polling place across the street, go over there and vote. But remember, you can vote anywhere, even on election day. You can vote anywhere you want to. Do not let anyone tell you you can't. Just make sure you take your information with you. And for those who got a mail-in ballot, if you don't want to mail it in, you have to surrender that information, that envelope, all of it, so you can vote on a regular ballot. So you won't have to do that provisional, because if you do provisional, you have to go to the election office. So, and it has other things in there. How come? But like I said, if you do got that mail-in ballot, take it with you. Go vote in person. It's your right. Don't let nobody tell you it ain't. Thank you very much. That's the last thing I'm going to say, but except vote for Sissy Byrd.
Okay. Thank you, Sissy.
You're welcome.
Oh, God. Well, everyone, that was Dorothy Sissy Byrd, that's running for County Commissioner for District 4. Not District 4, Precinct 4, correction. And I would say again, as a disclaimer, Suite 915 does not endorse political candidates. This is a podcast. But remember, no topic is taboo. So if you want to come on here and you would like to address certain topics, or like she came on and she wanted to talk about her platform as far as running for Precinct 4 County Commissioner, email us at therealsuite915@gmail.com or social media at Suite 915. So let us know if you want to come on, and for all of the other candidates that's running for county commissioner, you are welcome to come on as well. We're not saying you can't, so you're welcome to come on as well. Just email us at therealsuite915@gmail.com, and you're welcome to come on. March 1st is election day, and early election starts tomorrow, so get out there and exercise your right to vote. So the winner for the first, the question for the comedy show tickets, I think she said Michael Houston. Congratulations, Mr. Houston. We will be getting in touch with you, give you Paul Magic's number, and he has 2 free tickets for you for the comedy show next month. The next question: Black men were given voting rights in what year? Come on, Jesse. I know you know. Okay. Is that the winner? 1870? She's going to tell you if that correction. Okay, congratulations, Michael Houston. So you're the winner of both of the tickets. So you'll have 2 jazz tickets, and you'll have 2 tickets for the Lord Jesus. Oh, number 2. So you got the right question for number 2. So number 2 is for the jazz show. Number 2 is for the jazz show. So you have 2 free tickets to the free jazz show. What is the 19th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution? Anybody? Amendment to the Constitution. Okay, well, we'll keep that question for next week. So thank you again for tuning in. Hey, it's Super Bowl Sunday. Enjoy yourself. Go out, enjoy the Super Bowl. If you're gonna drink and drive, get you a driver. Be safe out there. Enjoy your Sunday. All right. So have a good day. We'll see you again next week. The return of it's me, Fedora, but this was a special edition today, so that's why we're on today. Okay, so we'll be here next Sunday at 4 p.m. with me, your host Curtis Smith, and it's me, Fedora. Shall we return?